everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay Your Waste, and today I'm going to be reviewing American Horror Story Season 10, Episode 10, The Future Perfect, okay? American Horror Story, aka Double Feature, aka Death Valley, aka wasting my damn time this season, okay? I just have to be honest with you guys. I'm going to recap this episode, but this finale was really bad. Like, and this is outside of me already not necessarily caring for the whole Death Valley portion of the season. It had so many just unanswered questions. Literally introducing new concepts into this episode that they never did anything with it. And so I'm just, at the end, I was like, oh, it's another episode next week. Let me wait for the previews. And then I was like, wait a minute, what? This was it? It literally felt as though that they were going to record two different seasons. They were going to shoot two different seasons at the same time, which a lot of productions have been doing because of COVID. They don't know if we're going to go into another lockdown. If the cases are going to rise. So a lot of people have been recording or shooting two seasons back to back. But it felt as though they started shooting this and then they just realized this is not something we can't really shoot both productions at the same time. And I know that they had got shut down before, and it felt like they were just like, okay, we're gonna do a double feature, and so we're gonna take the first half of this season and the second half of that season and just merge them together. And it literally feels like this is a last minute decision that they had rather than something that there's no way that this was pre-planned to be this way. There's just absolutely no freaking way. But I'm going to recap the episode and I will get into my issues with this season as a whole. And I still stand by that I liked the first half of the season. I know a lot of people was like, girl, I cannot get into that red tide. But it was the red tide for me, all right? So let's get into this week's episode, the finale of this season. We go to 1972 and we see Nixon Raggedy behind as president at this point in time. There are people upset. They're protesting outside of the White House. I'm assuming this has to do with the Vietnam War. And so essentially we see that Valiant Thor, played by Cody Fern, is there talking with him and basically saying, you know, that was their idea. They had to do something to distract the human race of all these people who keep disappearing. So they said they have a full program slated for all the distractions that they're going to have for the American people, so they won't know that they're actually taking people and testing them. And so he basically says that Nixon is like, so when is this experiment of yours? When is this actually going to be over? He tells them 2021 is going to be when we actually have the first hybrid being born. And so essentially, which ties into, where we found our characters in present day. But we see that he says, like, distractions come in many forms. And I was just like, wait a minute, are they talking about, like, Watergate? Because he was like, the war is not going to last forever. And he was like, distractions come in many forms, boo-boo. Don't worry, okay? Just wait. And I was like, oh, my goodness, they're probably behind Watergate, too, which we find out later that they actually are behind Watergate. But we see Henry Kissinger, who, he was the Secretary of State during that time. Sorry, I'm trying to, put all this knowledge that I had going to school. But we see that he is like a little reptile lizard looking thing, which is a concept that they introduced into this season, literally in this episode, that we literally never heard anything else about. And so I was just like, so what was the point of even saying that Henry Kissinger was like a part of this whole other reptile race? I was just confused by it. But we see that Ike is sick. He's watching Henry Kissinger do a press conference. He can tell, do you see his pupils? Like, he looks like he's a reptile or he's a lizard. But maybe it was just like, I'm just not here for that. She was like, it is what it is. Like, you trying to be a party pooper. I'm trying to have some positive, upbeat energy, and you're just being a Debbie Downer. So I'm not really here for this. But he's like, hey, I'm pretty sure that there's another group like the aliens, but reptiles who are here trying to do the same thing. But Mamie is too busy trying to get her evacuation day, because she said, I put Halloween on the map. I put birthdays on the map, Thanksgiving, all these things that I put on the map. I'm trying to get evacuation day added. And I said, baby, it's going to be a free holiday where we get off. Go ahead and evacuate me. But we see that he's sick, and she's basically saying, Valiant Thor comes, he's like, you don't have to die. We can help you. And he was like, I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. Let me die. I'm not trying to be no experiment. Mamie wasn't having that. So essentially before he passed away, he was like, you two both deserve each other. And then he dies. And then it's like this whole thing. And then basically Mamie was like, before I die, like, whatever y'all need to do, beam me up, Scotty. Whatever you need to do, we're going to do, because I'm not finna die at all. And so we see that, essentially, Nixon, the whole Watergate scandal, okay? So Nixon ends up bugging Valiant Thor's office at Watergate, which is kind of like this whole conspiracy theory, like this is what Nixon was actually trying to do, but Valiant actually spun it back around on him as another distraction in order to get him out of the office. So it causes this whole scandal. We find out that Mamie is actually the person who is Deep Throat, who actually told people about this, and she was doing all of this just to make sure she can get her evacuation day so she can live forever as well. But we see a little tender moment between Valiant Thor and Mamie. They like held hands. I was like, oh, look at them. Are they gonna get it on in the boom boom room, the alien boom boom room? But we see that, Nixon's like, I'm not going down without a fight. I ain't scared of you. And so basically, I don't know, they abducted Nixon. And I don't know if he raped him or he stuck something up his bum bum, but it just didn't look too comfortable. And basically that's how he convinced Nixon to resign, from the presidency so they could put somebody else in place. And so we see that at the end of the whole portion of the past, we see that Mamie ends up faking her death in order for her to go to Area 51. And then we see her and Calico actually met and they actually were able to become friends. So we go into the present day and it picks up from where we left off at the end of last week's episode. We saw that basically both of our guys, they passed away because their baby basically ate both of them, so it was all bad. So there's been an unauthorized murder. They're on lockdown. We see the guards go into Jamie and Kendall's room. We see them go into Mamie's room, and we actually get to see Mamie in the present day, who hasn't aged since the day that she told Valiant Thor that it was time. So the soldiers end up finding the baby. The boy's dead, and then the baby ends up attacking Ronnie, poor Ronnie, R.I.P. Ronnie, and essentially they end up killing Ronnie, but because they killed the baby and Ronnie, then Theta was basically like, well, y'all hoes gotta die too, and so they killed the guards who shot at the baby. So essentially we see that the girls end up going to look for them. They find them because they figure they're gonna go to the spot that Calico told them about, and so essentially they see them, Theta finds them, they passed out, but then we see that the girls are actually going into labor. And so we see that, this is what I was confused about, okay? Kendall, if you have a plan to run away and to be a snitch, you don't tell the people that you're going to be snitching on and running away from, you don't tell them the plan. So she was like, it's okay, Jamie. We're gonna get through this, and then we're going to run away, and then we're going to snitch and tell everybody. I said, Beesh, what are you doing? Have it make sense for me. So Jamie's sitting up here in labor. She's in pain. Then she has the baby. And then she was like, oh, let me see my baby. I was like, that baby not looking too good. So she was like, let me see the baby. They didn't kill the, slit the baby throat in front of her. Then she starts screaming. Then I start screaming. Then Kendall starts screaming. And then essentially they slit her throat too. And I was like, well, dang, you was gonna let the boys live? You can't let I guess nobody gets to live at this point, but it was probably because what was Kendall doing? Running her damn mouth. And so Kendall ended up having her baby because she was like, baby, you ain't got time to have no grief and worry about what happened to your friend. Make sure you produce the perfect hybrid, okay? And that's what she does. But then she started talking smack too. And Theta was like, Beach, what you say? Say it again. Say it to my face, hoe. And then essentially she said it to her face. And she was like, and your mama, hoe. She didn't say that. I'm just playing, y'all. But that's what people say. They be like, oh, what you say about my mama? But that's besides the point. I'm sorry. That was just like a whole, that just went down a whole road that I really didn't need to go down. But we see that she basically says like, hey, Beach, we don't need you. So she chopped her head off, put a robot head to preserve the body so it can keep breeding, keep having babies. And so essentially we see that, Calico and Mamie, they end up hearing about the hybrid. And so Mamie goes to talk to Thor. It seems like there must have been trouble in paradise because it don't seem like they in love no more. And basically he ends up telling her that, hey, we're going to get rid of the humans. But he said, like, we'll spare a few, like he's going to spare her. So essentially Mamie goes and Oh, she asked him about the reptile. And this is what frustrated me because he was like, they'll be allowed to stay. They have something to offer. You guys don't. They basically said, y'all basic. Y'all humans basic out here. But I was like, so what was the purpose of introducing the reptile race if you were going to do nothing with that? I just thought that was weird, and it just didn't make any sense to me. Yeah, sure, he could bring it up in future seasons, but let's be honest, ain't nobody gonna be asking for no spinoff from this season of American Horror Story. But we see that she ends up going and talking to Calico about what happened. And I was dying laughing when she was like, hey, yeah, she was like, so they're gonna kill all the humans. She was like, yeah, but I mean, not me, but y'all hoes gonna die. But I'm not dying. But they gonna kill y'all. I said, man, was that necessary? Like, was that really necessary, Mamie? So essentially, Mamie ends up talking. I guess she manipulated Theta's human side, and so she brings Calico to talk to Theta. They're gonna kill the baby and the body, Kendall's body. And essentially, Theta was like, oh, no, hell no. Like, you thought you was going to appeal to my human side? She was like, that is the side that I'm ashamed of anyway. And so essentially, she gives Calico the decision, like, do you believe in what she wants? And she was like, no. And so I did feel like Theta had a point. Humans are very selfish people. So, like, why would you ever think that, you know, we could coexist amongst each other, that you guys wouldn't try to take back what's yours? And Calico felt the same way, too. She was just like, yeah, like, we're a pretty grimy race. And I was like, I would have to agree with you. Like, if it was up to me, I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, you probably want to kill him. Like, that's probably what you want to do, honey. So we see that she makes her head explode. And then basically they allow Calico to be like the nurturing mother figure for all of the babies. Because like she said, they're going to reproduce Kendall's body in order for them to have babies every single hour on the hour so they can build up enough people in order to take over the planet. And essentially, like, the show just go off. And that's when I was just like, oh, so there must be another episode. And they were like, no, that's the end. And I was just like, huh? Haven't make sense for me. This was a terrible ending. And I do want to know, for the people who was enjoying the Death Valley portion of it, like, let me know how you felt about that ending. It was very abrupt. You mentioned reptiles. You did nothing with it. What was the point of actually including that in there? All of this revisionist conspiracy theory history, yeah, it works sometimes, but for this, and to be honest with you, last week, I was like, I'm so happy to get to the present. And it's normally the worst part for me. But they just lost my interest with the going back into how everything happened with Eisenhower and going into Kennedy and Nixon. I was just like, this boring. And I was a history major. Like, I liked history. So let me just be clear about that. But I just feel like, I don't know what went wrong with this season. I mean, I know what went wrong is two very incomplete stories that were put together. I just found the first part of Red Tide to be a lot more compelling than what we actually got in Death Valley. A lot of themes are introduced, a lot of loose plot holes that happen in the second half of it. I mean, the first part felt that felt more complete to me than actually Death Valley. So this, I don't know, where would this rank? I don't think this is bad. I think the second half is probably, I would say the second half is maybe worse than Roanoke. And I know that said a lot, but yeah. I'm trying to think, like, I still dislike Colt the most. It's like a tie between Colt and Roanoke on which season I dislike the most. But this is definitely going in the bottom 3 of worst American Horror Story seasons. And next time when we tell you to do sirens, just do sirens. Like, I just feel at this point, I know a lot of people are like, well, why would we let the fandom decide? I don't know, because we're the people who are giving you the ratings. Like, maybe that's the reason why. Like, just let us do what we want to, like, just do sirens. Do sirens. That's what we told you to do in the first place. So I don't even understand how we, like, just went away from what people said that you should do. I don't even care. Do werewolves. Do something else but what you've been doing, because I love American Horror Story, but this season, like, between this and then the previous season, it's just, it's not giving me what it needs to be giving me. And I'm just confused because it's been renewed for so many more seasons. And I think maybe instead of focusing on American Horror Stories, that we need to just get back to the basics. So if you need to take 2 years off to really just woosah and clear your mind and just, you know, let it breathe, just can you the next season just bring back all the OG people? Stop trying to force new people on us unless you're going to give them a good enough story to make us like them. Because I don't think the characters in this one got a fair shake because the story's a little rocky. Except for whoever played Alma, that baby girl, she deserves the world. You put her in every single season, okay? But I'm just saying, it wasn't for me. I'd be excited to know in the comment section below, what did you guys think? Did you love this season? Did you hate this season? Did you like Red Tide better? Did you like Death Valley better? I would really love to know. But yeah, those are my thoughts. This is trash season. And I love the first half of the season. But this second half, just throw it in the trash because it's not good. So those are my thoughts on American Horror Story Death Valley season 10 episode 10 The Perfect Future. As always, my name is Sharona from Payroll Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000, and until I see you again, bye.